Hey everybody, welcome to Outside the Box with Tony Vaughn here on Xpnsion Network. Today we are with Vanessa Adlawan. She is an empathic energy healer and she lives here locally, so I'm lucky enough to have her here in the studio. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Tony. So nice to be here.
Yeah, so first thing I always ask everybody, just because it's kind of the thing that I'm curious about the most, is how this all started for you. I know it was when you were young, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it started at a very young age, just hearing, seeing, and noticing things. And, just going through my teenage years, my childhood, just didn't really know how to express it in a way that people would accept it or understand it.
Now, did you have siblings?
I did, but not living with me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So I was thinking, so there wasn't any other kids around your age that you could say, hey, are you experiencing this? Are you seeing this or hearing this or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a short time, though, when I did live with some cousins, and we were all experiencing, fun, weird things. But yeah, there was one incident where that was happening. But it was mostly during my, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Then the teenage years came, and then it revisited again during my 20s, okay. And then kind of went away and came back more, 30s, and probably the 40s is when it was.
When it got the strongest?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you were young, was it auditory stuff you were experiencing? Was it visual stuff? Was it scary? Was it just kind of weird?
So I think the first experience I had was energetic, so it was about 4. So it was I would feel like my dad, I'd feel him coming, and coming down the hallway and checking on me, but I didn't know that that's what that was. And there was just weird sensations too that I would get. I remember and it would always be during like a nap time. These things would happen. My mom would put me to nap. Then there would be other times where I would almost feel like not here, and it would last for about, 10, 12 seconds. Like not in your body, kind of? Yeah, okay. And it also had like a sensation of nausea. So I was little, I'm like, what is this? I didn't feel comfortable where I was, and then it would go away. I would snap out, and then I would feel better after it was done. So that used to happen, and then that happened once too when I was about 19. I was like, oh my gosh, this hasn't happened since I was little. Yeah. But yeah, so those were the first instances were those weird sensations as well as energetic. Then it turned into hearing conversations, hearing actual parties going on. It was very strange, yeah. Really? Yeah, it was. Like groups of people talking? Clanking and talking and conversation. And I'd be looking at it, and there'd be nothing there, and I'd be looking around, but I can continue. So it was kind of getting scary. I didn't tell my mom, but I'm like, okay, that's how it started. Then we move, and then I would still hear different things and see different things. And, I would reach out to certain people, and their reactions were as if I was going a little crazy. I was about 12 or 13 describing this, and actually in tears because it was very scary to me. And, well, have you been drinking? And I'm like, no, this is not that, and then I just remember I used to just go outside. I used to just wait outside. It was a little bit of anxiety, and, I was like, I didn't understand. Then it started to get more intense, and then I started to see things, and so that's how it kind of evolved through my younger years into my early 20s. Okay. But you still didn't really acknowledge or explore it or anything like that until later when you got into your 40s. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of went on life as normal kind of thing, had a couple of kids. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Just, tried to lead a normal life. One of the gals that I had on the show, her name is Kirsten, she's a medium, and she had said one time that the spirit world is like the mafia. Like if they want you in, they're not going to let up until you're like, okay, all right, I'll do it, kind of thing. So
Is that kind of, do you feel like that's kind of what
Yeah.
happened? Like over the years it was little taps, you know, and then after a while it was like, you know, smacking you with a pillow full of bricks or something, like, no, you're doing this.
Yeah, and it's very scary when you don't understand, you know, because
Yeah.
it was so clear what I was hearing, and it was so clear what I was seeing, and it was just hard to, you know.
Yeah. Have, your kids are adults now.
Mm-hmm.
Do either one of them, was your gifts passed on, do you feel like? Did they experience anything, or when they were little, did they?
Yes, when they were little. When they were little, I saw certain things. You know, one time, my daughter, her and I were laying in bed. She was about 3, and she was laying next to me. And then she never met my dad, but she was laying there. She's looking around. She goes, "Why did Grandpa die? Why?" You know, and I'm like, how do I even answer this? You know, I said, well, I was, you know, Grandpa was sick, this and that. She goes, because you know what he told me? This is when I just kind of stood there, right? She says, he said that where there's the moon and the sun, there's hope. And this is a very little girl telling me this. And I just got chills, and I said, okay, that probably came from my dad, because how is she going to know that, right?
Yeah.
So that was one of the first things she did. And then my son, he would, we lived in a different area, and he used to have to take breathing treatments, right? He had asthma. And he would be having his breathing treatment, and he would ask his dad, "Who's that man standing over there?"
Oh.
Yeah. And he'd be looking. And what would be funny is that I'd come home, all the lights would be on. You know, scared my husband then, you know, he was like scared of it. But there was a couple of times too when some strange things happened in the house that involved my kids, but they don't remember. You know,
Right.
they don't remember these
Do
things.
they seem to have kind of grown out of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they kind of see me now, and they're like, you know, they kind of look from afar, right? They're like, okay, that's our mom, and you know, what have you. But yeah, they're they're supportive though. Yeah,
That's good.
You know, during me and when I was evolving in my healing practice, and I say, come here, sit down here, let's do this, and you know, they would bring their girlfriend or boyfriend, and we would all sit together. They let me, you know, just
kind of
play with
practice on
energy.
them.
Yeah, play with
Yeah.
energy, and they're like, so yeah, this was about 5-6 years ago when we used to do that.
Well, that's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell them don't make fun, because your turn might be coming.
I know.
You know,
I know. Yeah.
and at least they'll have somebody to talk to if that's the
Mhm.
case.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So, okay, well, tell everybody kind of what it is that you do.
Okay. So I do energy healing, and I do clearing, house and business type clearing via remote viewing. So it's a little bit different. I don't physically go to the house, and I don't, you know, do it other ways, because I've asked, you know, how do you do this and that, and so I just kind of do it from my home, and I sense things energetically. So it's more of an energetic clearing, but I'm able to help them find the spots in their house that need attention or fixing, or you know,
You're talking about
stuff like
physical
that.
things in the house.
Yeah, physical things in the house.
So do people call you because they're like, I think we have a leak, but I don't know where it's coming from, kind of thing, or something like that? Like they're looking for actual physical things that are wrong with the house.
Yeah, so what happens is that if they come to me for like an energetic clearing physically, we have a healing, you know, sometimes we step into the conversation while like, okay, so what's going on at the home? You know, so then that's when I'll go in and I'll say, okay, so just like we do the clearings here, let me check your house. And while I'm there, sometimes I will sense lower vibration energies there.
Okay.
I do sense that. And I do sense it a lot on items too. So I'll see an item and I'll ask, where did you get that? And then they talk about it. Okay, that makes sense. Because when I see it and I feel it, I don't wait to ask them before I clear it. So I'll clear it right then and there. And I'll just let them know, you know, there's this leak, there's the broken this, there's a broken that, you have something upstairs in your purse, I had to clear that. Who did you get that from? And they'll tell me. and then everything kind of makes sense, you know. So
Okay.
it just, everything just holds a certain vibration. And if it feels a lower vibration, I can immediately feel it. So anything between the walls and stuff too. So we go through that. So I usually send like a laundry list of stuff, of items, you know. There's a lot of magazines under your TV that's stagnant energy, and we need to clear that up, you know. So I see the stagnant energy.
Gotcha.
Under the sink, there's mold that's developing, and they don't know until they go look too.
Yeah.
You know, so it's that. I sense the mold. I'll sense the broken tiles, the fixtures that are not working properly. Everything has to be working for flow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That
then
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah. So then that's what happens.
And you do this for businesses
Yes.
and for for personal homes.
Yes. So I do businesses and homes, and I also do a bit of dream guiding. You know, people send me their dreams, or we talk about it, and it's almost the same thing as if when they're talking, I kind of feel like I go into the dream, and not so much to interpret it for them, but to guide them, to bring understanding for them.
Okay.
You know, because I start to ask questions from what they're telling me, and you know, so that's how I do the dream guiding too. So those are the
Wow, that's really fascinating.
yeah. So those are the main things that I do, and it's been a quick evolution to how this all happened, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to learn basically intuitively how to figure things out.
Yeah. Wow. Well, she did a reading on me just before we did this, before we started to record the show. And though it wasn't the optimum setting for her, because normally she's got the bed and, you know, like the massage table kind of thing. But it was still fascinating. I totally fell asleep. And I felt myself starting to fall asleep, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm really relaxed. Why, you know, but then when I finally opened my eyes, like, she was gone. And I was like, I didn't even know she left. And I don't recall her, you know, she started down by my feet, and I don't recall her even getting up by my head because yeah, I fell asleep, and she confirmed afterwards. She's like, yeah, your jaw dropped a little bit. So I was like, hope I wasn't snoring. But no, in the beginning when she started, I could feel the energy, like she was working on my right leg, and I could feel that as I had my eyes closed, and I would kind of test and see, because I could feel something happening, and then I would open my eyes and see, and that's exactly where her hands were placed, or, you know, I could feel her, because there was a block of energy there, and she was unblocking that for me, and it was very relaxing. I felt very heavy, and obviously very, very relaxed, because like I said, I fell asleep. It's the middle of the day. Like, I normally don't take naps in the middle of the day or anything like that. So I was actually quite surprised that I fell asleep. So it was very relaxing. And then afterwards, she explained to me all the things that had come up, detail enough as far as ages that things happened, pictures that came into her head that describe where I lived at the time that those things happened. So it was really fascinating. It was really cool. And even though I'd like to do another one at some point when we can do the whole thing.
Oh yes, yeah, its entirety. That'd be great.
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit different because she was out of the regular routine of it and stuff like that. But it was really fascinating. I really appreciated that. You had told me a story about when you were first trying to figure out what all this remote viewing stuff was about, and that you had found like a meetup group. And so tell everybody what happened, because I thought that was it was fascinating and funny.
Yeah, so I was like, what is this? Why can't I do this? I didn't do this before. And so then it was suggested to me that maybe you're a remote viewer. So I'm like, what's a remote viewer? I'm like, wait, you know, I don't know. So then I found a meetup group, and I went, and you know, it was a bunch of very interesting people, very, you know, pretty much much older than me, and you know, we were going to meet in a library, and what happened is that there was a gas leak, so then we ended up all just going to go eat. So we went to go eat, And I sat with them, and we were talking about it.
And these were all males, right?
There was males and females.
Oh, okay.
There was, military. There was ex-military. There was researchers from various agencies and stuff like that. So I was kind of felt a little bit out of my realm. I'm just a healer, just trying to figure out what the heck is this. And then so the main person, who is the teacher of this group, was sitting across from me, and not so much, kind of put me on the spot a little bit. And he says, he goes, so Vanessa, tell us, what is it that you do? And I explained it. He says, he goes, okay. So then he says, I have this target. I'm like, a target? And then so once he said the word target, I just remember looking to the side, and I started to go there. And as I was going there, usually when I do house clearings and businesses, I always step inside. So I always land up inside, and then it takes form around me. But this time I was outside of this building, and and I knew it wasn't from here. And I even remember wanting to speak in an accent that I didn't even know. I was trying to say the name Michael, or I was trying to say a name that wasn't with an accent. So I started to describe the place and the structure. It was old. It was, what it looked like, the windows and the inside. It felt very spacious but full, but the energy there was making me very high anxiety. So I was just sitting there, I going, I don't know, I'm feeling very, very scared, and it's empty, but it feels crowded, and there's a place underneath where files are kept, and it's this very, very, very old building that's not in the United States. And so I started to go into it, and then I can see him across from me just going like this, and then he stopped me and apologized to me, because he says, because I'm so sorry, I didn't realize you were going to go in and go so deep so quickly. And so nobody knew what this target was but him. So then when he finally shared that it was the Vatican, and everybody was like, oh, so that was the energy and the feel and the look of the building that I was seeing. And so then that's when I asked him, I go, so what I just demonstrated, is that am I like a remote viewer? He goes, actually, you're like a remote viewer on steroids. And I'm like, oh, they go, yeah, it's a step above. And I said, okay, so at least then I had an understanding that what I was seeing and feeling wasn't just, it was new to me. It just happened. So yeah, so it was very interesting. I'm glad somebody suggested, and I went there, and then, just by chance I was put on the spot. Yeah. I was just going to sit in and see what it was, but I was put on the spot.
So nobody else, like he just pointed at you, so nobody else that was sitting there was also supposed to be trying to go there or figure out what it was or whatever.
Yeah. So, and I was nervous because, there was a group of us, and I was like, oh, he's telling me to do it now, and then I did.
You've probably not done it in that setting on the spot, right?
On the spot. Yeah, I was like, oh, and then they saw me shaking, and I was nervous, and because of the energy that I was feeling from there, it was that kind of energy. So, yeah, it was a good experience, and it kind of helped me to understand.
Yeah, yeah. And then you had talked about, I think it's so interesting that the animals talk, that the animals talk to you, and the things that they're saying, like they're totally ratting out their owners,
they do.
Right?
Yeah, and they talk like we do. That's the thing. It's very interesting. They're very excitable. The way they talk, it's like conversation. So I don't even understand how that's is that like a telepathy? Is that like or am I just hearing them? But whatever they're telling me is the owners are able to confirm, different things. But I will tell you, one time I had this one experience where I kept seeing, because sometimes I visit stables because I love horses.
Oh, okay.
And I was at home, and for like 2 weeks straight, I kept seeing this horse. I see it, it's right here. And I wouldn't pay attention till one day I said, I'm going to pay attention. And I went to the stable, and I was looking at all the horses. And I was like, I wonder which one is the one that was trying to catch my attention. That's the only thing I could think of, right? And then we caught eyes. It was the most bizarre thing. I was at the end of the stalls where they are, and on the other side, outside, there was a big pen with one horse there. And we were looking at each other, and as I walked closer, he came around and he came to me, and he came right to my face, and I said, you know, I looked at him, not speaking, but I said, was that you? And then he started to make these noises, and like, you know, and then he started to do this and clank and do stuff, and then the owner came and said, oh, look, he came to say hi to you. I said, oh, okay. So I stood there with him, and he was wanting to get my attention, so I didn't want to touch him because you're not supposed to. Oh, okay. But he had stuck his like whole head out there, and then I saw what was going on. The owner took him to the other side and was putting something on him, and then he kind of looked, and it was a little sad. That's all I can say. It was just a little sad. I don't know.
That the horse was sad?
Yeah.
Because of something that was happening?
Yeah. And the way that the horse was being spoken to, I was like, and then after she did whatever she did and, you know, did all this stuff, he came back. And then I said, oh, okay. And so we stood there, and I stood there with him for a little while. And it was, then I started to feel the horse. And then I was like, okay, this is what I saw. He was just sharing with me what he goes through.
Yeah.
And it made me kind of sad.
Yeah.
You know, it made me kind of sad. And there was another time where I was with another horse at another stall, and he came up to me. He was a little bit smaller, and he had like scratches on him, right? And I started talking to him. I said, what happened to you? You know, just like with my mind, I'm like, what happened to you? What happened to you? And then, you know, he kind of turned around, and he was doing this and that, doing this and that. And I said, I wonder what would happen if I gave energy, you know, from a distance.
Yeah.
So what I did is, and this was kind of amazing to me too. And, you know, he was there, he was behind the gate, and I just went like this. And the horse took about 3 or 4 steps back and just put his head down. I go, does he know that I'm giving him energy? I almost started crying right there. I was like, and I just stood there, and he literally just took a step back, and he just put his head down like that, and I just was doing this, and I was like, it's okay. You know, so whatever trauma he had been through, I was just curious and asking him about, what is all this that I see on your face?
Yeah.
You know, so that's how it's my experience with horses, but with dogs too. You know, dogs, they're the ones that are just silly. Yeah, they're just like, I can't even explain it. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm even embarrassed sometimes to tell the owners, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like, you gotta stop. He's saying he doesn't want to eat human food. It's making him sick. And then she's like, oh my gosh, that's what, you know, stuff like that. I have an earache, you know, they'll tell me they have an earache, or different.
Did you had one things that told you, like, my owners don't understand, I speak Spanish?
Oh yeah, like that though. You know, I speak Spanish. I was like, just like that. I was like, what? Yeah, it was so hilarious.
Like, were they wanting the owners to communicate with the dog in Spanish?
Yeah, I don't know. He was like that's his special thing, or maybe because it was just like so out of nowhere. I was like, oh gosh, that is so funny. But yeah, so they're hilarious the way they get excited, and it's funny. Was that pretty trippy the first time? Yeah, the first time was the little Chihuahua with the sweater. That's when I really didn't know what was going on. But yeah, you know, she told me come with me, and it's funny because when I'm there, you know, I'll be in the house and I don't see people, even though people could be there, and I can see, but I don't see myself, and I don't even feel myself walking, because I remember following the dog where she was showing me the door dog, you know, the dog door, and I don't. So that's kind of interesting to me too.
So you're just kind of
there. I don't know if it's just my eyes. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I mean, essentially it is just your energy.
Yeah, it's just my energy. Yeah, I'm not
physically
there, and so I don't really see, but I see, but I don't. Yeah. So.
Well, maybe you don't move. Maybe the house does.
Oh my God, anything's possible at this point. I tell you, I'm like, yeah, anything's possible, because seen and felt some interesting things.
Yeah.
It's been a huge lesson, and I just try to piece it together.
Yeah. So what are some of have you had any experiences with people that you've done healings with where anything that stands out, maybe somebody that you brought something up and they go, oh my gosh, yes, or where because of the healing energy or unblocking the energy and stuff like that you've been able to help somebody significantly physically, with any kind of an ailment or illness or anything like that?
Yes, so a lot of my clients, I work very closely with them, and also when they leave, I keep in contact with them. So after they leave, I don't just stop. But yes, there's been everything always resonates with them with what I'm saying, and so what I mainly try to do is try to piece stuff together to help them understand, how the healing integrates with their experiences. It's a longer discussion, so we just to try and help them understand. But yeah, so a lot of memories come up, people come up around them. I've had people's children come up around them, and I'd say, a lot of just really, really significant events in their life that's happened. But one of the most fascinating things to me is that, because I've worked with very young people and very old people and everybody in between.
Yeah.
And I was working with a teenage girl, and I could literally feel the masculine and the feminine trying to merge.
Oh.
And I was like, wait, this feels so much different than this side. So what I was feeling was the integration trying to happen, and just by that I was able to tell how she was already moving forward with her life. The masculine side sometimes just is taking over this side, the feminine side. And so what happened is that as I went to go to the feminine side, I realized not only that was it feminine, but it was very innocent. It was the young her.
Yeah.
That was still, it has a whole different feeling. The feel, everything. And I was like, I even thought to myself, I go, oh, this is what I want everybody to feel like.
Yeah.
It was like so pure. I can't explain it. But so, to try and balance that, that's why I keep in touch with them. That's why I say, we will work through this so that the merge is balanced and there's more, ease with that. But that was really amazing. You're saying
that the energies were coming together because she was
at that age. It was an age of where she was trying to come out, but there was still a baby.
Yeah. Okay. So just moving into adulthood.
Yeah, moving into adulthood. That's what that was. It was like the middle of a transition. But I was like, wow, if everybody could return to just this type of energy.
Yeah.
So that was like really, that was profound for me. I was like, wow, so I learned so much,
Yeah. And I know you went through a period of time when you were, when this all kind of came to a head, and you got very ill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, you were like really sick, right?
Yes.
Can you tell everybody about that a little bit?
Yeah.
And just kind of how that was the shift.
Yeah, that was
big, happening.
Yeah. That was the big push. Yeah. So I became very sick, and it actually, I remember how the first symptom I felt was I was like racing towards the train, but I felt like there was water falling on me. So I'm like, I'm looking at myself and I'm wiping myself. I felt like it was like water. So then I went and the next day I was at this workshop, and then I had this dry cough. Went to the doctor. They said, okay, you have the flu, give me medicine. I went back. They said, no, this is not the flu. And it turned out, I had bilateral pneumonia.
Oh.
Okay, so, and they're like, you're too young to have this. But then they took my x-rays, and they were periodically taking x-rays. They're saying, your x-rays aren't changing. So meanwhile,
And how old are you at this point?
I was 47. No, 47. Yeah, 3 years ago.
Okay.
I was 47, and then my hair was coming out in gobs, just chunks of hair was coming out, and then all my teeth felt like one big cavity. I couldn't chew, I couldn't do anything. All my teeth and gums, my mouth was just like this. I had millions of bumps all over my body. I mean, it was just like, it was so bizarre. I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, and I couldn't breathe. So I was in and out of urgent care. I was admitted to the hospital. Emergency rooms, and by that time doctors knew me already, but they were baffled. They're like, we don't know what this is. You're visibly sick. We don't know, and we just took all your vitals and everything's normal, like but you're sick. So like they were looking concerned. So like they had this meeting, and then they came back and they wrote on the board, you have one of these illnesses. And I remember just looking and being very scared. So of course 2 days later I was back in the hospital, because because there was about 3 times where I thought I was just going to go. I was just laying there going, okay, I can't, nothing. So then they said, okay, so all your tests are negative, and we really don't know what this is. We're going to keep treating it like it's bilateral pneumonia, but we don't know. So I was out for 4 months, cut my hair.
So this went on for 4 months.
Yeah.
That you felt like this, like you couldn't breathe, couldn't eat.
I couldn't talk. I couldn't say like 2 or 3 words. It was horrible. Were you
bedridden this entire time?
Yeah. So I was just laying down the whole time, and I couldn't, even to get up to go to the doctor in emergency was just so difficult. So then, finally, I was getting better, and 4 months passed, and then I went back to my practice, back to how I used to do it, and then I noticed things were tweaked a little. So then it became very interesting, and then I began to just ask questions, like with my clients, like, did this happen? Then I started to see and smell and do all those different, everything became alive.
So you were seeing people before this happened, for energy work and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But then after the illness, things got way more intense.
Yeah, I wasn't able to. I used to do house clearings, but I used to just do a visual, and then just but now it wasn't a visual. It was kind of like I was there.
Yeah.
So that part changed, and I was able to be very specific during my walkthroughs, and then the healing energy just changed into a whole different thing. So yeah.
Do you feel like when first of all, with the illness, what was the kind of the turning point? Did you just all of a sudden one day was like, I feel a little bit better today, and the next day you felt a little better, like it just kind of out of nowhere had started to turn around and you started to get well?
Yes.
And you really can't really attribute it to anything?
Yeah, because even when they had sent me back to work, they only sent me back part-time.
Yeah.
And they said there's still no change. Even all that time, we have to give you another medication. I was already getting scared. It's like, what is this? So I had to wear a mask to work for a whole month. So yeah, so it's like this. I was like, oh my goodness. So I had to wear that, and then finally, I got better, and then thank goodness. I was, it was the biggest scare. But even when I was sick, there was things happening around me, that I can't explain. That just things, and I was still hearing stuff, and still, but I was listening to what they were saying.
Yeah.
They were giving me instructions, and there were little small voices. There were little small voices. Like
whispers?
Yeah, like not adults. It didn't feel it didn't feel like they were like adult full. Yeah, so the expression that they were giving me was like of that, almost like, get up, you need to get up, you need to go to the window and breathe, you need to go. It was instructions like that.
Yeah.
I'd be laying there, and then I'd go, okay, just stay there. And so I was listening to them. This was towards the ending, you know, when I was almost getting better. So I was listening. I was like, well, if I'm hearing it, I'm gonna listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was listening to these little people. That's what they felt like.
Do you feel like, because obviously when this all came about, whether it was when you were young or your teenage years or in your 40s, it wasn't like somebody came with an instruction manual. This is how you're going to help people. These are the things you're going to hear. This is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to do with this information. This is how you're going to heal, you know, and stuff like that. So is it kind of I suppose it's totally a learning experience, but something that you just kind of have to use your intuition and pay attention to what they're saying and stuff like that to know kind of how you put this all together in a package that you can then go out and offer to help other people with. So, I mean, I imagine it's a definite learning curve.
Oh, yeah.
That it takes.
Yeah, because at first, you know, I was just like, oh, yeah, come in for an energy healing, I'll give you a tune-up. You know, it was like that, you know. And so at least I got the fundamentals down. And what I did realize is that when I was younger, I would feel the surges, but I thought it was anxiety until I remember.
So you realized later on that was not anxiety.
Yeah, because it feels like a bzz, you know, like this thing. And then when I finally started to practice, I was like, oh, this is energy. You know, this whole time I thought it was just me like having anxiety. You know, it's so weird.
Well, when you don't know, that's kind of where anxiety comes from. When you don't know what it is, then of course you would feel kind of like, oh, I don't, you know, and be nervous and scared and stuff. Well, that is so fascinating. I think I told you the first time we talked that I'm so jealous that I wish, like and I think part of it's because of my fascination with like the paranormal, but I'm like, I wish I could hear things. I wish I could see things. But so many people that I've talked to that are able to, it's not fun in the beginning. It's confusing. And especially if you've been, you know, raised mainstream and you see the scary movies and people that are seeing things are either about to die, you know, they're about to get killed, you know, the spirits are going to come after them, or you know, people think they're crazy, but it's not good, and people end up going, you know, kind of inward because they don't feel like they fit in. It can cause depression and, you know, and stuff like that. So I imagine once you get a grip on it and you understand what it is, and then you have some confidence in how to use it and how it can benefit other people, that then it's like, then it's probably kind of cool. But I imagine the road to get there, not so much.
No, I think the main thing and the hardest thing is to listen to your higher self. I that's all I kept doing. You know, just like, okay.
So once you listened,
once
and they
I
knew you were listening, it got easier once you, because somebody else told me that too, that you just need to listen to that voice, and when you listen this time, and the next time they talk and you listen, then they'll start to tell you more. Yeah, and then that's what you have to pay attention to. That's what happens, and then what happens is so you're getting feedback and important lessons from this side, and they're giving it to you, and then you're giving it to the people in this third dimension, and it all, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah, and then it all makes sense. It all it resonates with them. So I'm like, okay, so this side is real because this side is confirming. You know, how am I gonna? You know what I mean? Yeah. So once you start listening, then it becomes easier. I mean, even to this day, you know, sometimes when I'm working, I'm like, really? Okay, I'll mention that. And then like I'll always say it hesitantly because I'm like, really want me to say that? That sounds stupid. I don't. I know. And then so like, and then I'll say it, and they're like, yes. I'm like, oh, and then I go, oh, okay. And then and I'm always thanking them. But that builds up your confidence in yourself and in the information you're receiving. Yes. So that as you move forward, it's you're more and more confident about what you're what you're offering. And I know when somebody's working through me too. There's a different sensation, and it's funny. So I'll do my work versus hearing them talk to you and then having somebody actually working through you physically. Yes. Okay. And I smile because I'm like, okay, good. I needed this help, because it feels very different.
and I literally just, I'll be doing my stuff, and it's just like an interruption.
Wow,
and
like
then,
somebody just took the wheel.
Yeah, and then, and I'll just stay still, because my client is usually asleep, right? And I'm just like, okay. And then once it leaves, then I resume.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, they did what they had to do, and then.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's a totally different feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't explain it. It's like, but it's so cool.
So, the remote viewing obviously is remote, so so you don't have to be with them.
Yeah.
That's something that you can do from your home that you talked about. Can you do, or do you? I know anything is possible. Do you also do the energy healing stuff like you did with me? Are you able to do that? You're able to do distance healing?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have clients in other states. Just far off cities that are just too far away from where I live, and we do work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask that. So anybody that's interested, she's going to give you her information. So if you're interested in doing the remote viewing thing, is so fascinating to me. So you guys should call and ask for that, because that sounds like, that just sounds so cool.
Yeah.
Even when you know that this stuff is real, even when you understand, like I said, I haven't experienced. We all have to some degree here and there, but not on a regular basis. And even though I haven't experienced what you have, I know that it's real. I know that it's possible. I know anything is possible, but still, when it happens, you're like, wow, that was so amazing. So let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, whether that's phone number, email, Facebook, whatever, however you want people to get a hold of you.
Okay, so social media on Facebook, it's Vanessa Leilani, and
and is that L-A-L-O-N-I?
Oh, L-E-I-L-N-I.
Oh, L-E-I.
L-E-I-L-A-N-I. Yeah. So it's Vanessa Leilani. So that's my Facebook, and then I have a website that I'm still working on. It's almost complete, so that's coming up. But also, my phone number, 626-627-9336.
Do you have an email?
And I have an email, it's VLANIADLAWAN @gmail.com. And, I'm fortunate and blessed that, I'm currently booked for the year, but I'm taking appointments for starting mid-January. Yeah.
Okay. Good for you.
Yeah.
Such a service you're providing. That's that's so awesome that you're booked out like that, because people need it, and you're doing a great service for people. So, thank you so much for being here, for coming to my home. This has been so fun. Thank you everybody for joining us here on Xpnsion Network, and we will see you in the next episode. Have a great day.